right, welcome in. It's another edition of the DPD, the Daily Puck Drop. Good morning to you here on Tuesday, April 30th. She wasn't okay, Frank. Does she look okay? The grape lady. She's down and out. She's hurt, scarred for life. All right, we welcome you in. We appreciate you watching, listening, wherever you are finding us here. It's pucksports.com. Some new additions to the website. My web guy, old Mark, fabulous little upgrades. You can see now all of the weekly guests that are up there. So that's terrific. So we appreciate Mark. There'll be some more updates coming up to the website. But if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, leave comments below. I try to answer as many as I possibly can. And, of course, if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, please rate the podcast. Please leave a comment if you can. It all helps. And wherever you find your podcasts, we're everywhere. Amazon Music, YouTube Music, by the way, for all you Android users. All right, it is Tuesday. That means coming up later today, we'll have our weekly visit with John Canzano from johncanzano.com. John Canzano BFT there on X. And, of course, his weekly is always brought to you by Zeke's Pizza. Hey, yesterday, because I'm a putz and I wasn't paying attention, I had the wrong audio setting for the Bill Kruger interview, so that sounded terrible. Not because of anything that Kruger did. It's because this guy right here, rushing through things, and I just had the wrong setting. My apologies. Everything else was great, but the Bill episode was just a little bit off. All right, coming up today on the DPD, what do we got? I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, I know how they're doing it, but the M's keep winning. It's hilarious. A page that other sports teams need to take out in terms of what hockey does. We'll briefly touch on the Dave Hakstol, LeBron James, NFL news. They're going to add more games, and there could be a reunion with the Seahawks on Jamal Adams, and introducing kind of a new deal that we'll do every day, because you've grown accustomed to kind of the off-the-wall, offbeat stories that I like to do. And so that's kind of the part of this whole thing. I mean, we don't like to talk sports all the time because I'll be honest with you, if we just talk sports for 30 minutes, it's kind of boring. So we're introducing something new at the end, kind of these offbeat stories, things that make me laugh, like the cat story the other day. There was a great comments on YouTube from the Daily Puck Drop the other day about cats on leashes. I don't get it, man. I get what you psychos are doing. If you are one of these people, okay, walking around town that has a cat on a leash, I think you should be thrown in jail. I'm not exaggerating. It's just weird. Weird. So at the end, new segment. Hey, what the puck? That's pretty good, huh? Pretty good. All right, let's get to the M's. I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous. How do they keep doing this? They went hitless into the 8th inning last night and won the game. They were getting no hit. Hell, there was 2 perfect games going on at one point. 2 no hitters. They again managed just 4 hits. They scored 2 runs, but they won the game. I mean, and it's all because of what their pitching staff is doing. Their ERA since April 10th is 1.53. It's the best in franchise history over a 17-year span. Go one step further, it's the best Major League Baseball stretch over a 17-game span since Cleveland did it back in 2017. It was their 18th quality start. They're the only team in baseball right now with 5 pitchers with at least 3 quality starts. And when they get to that criteria, right, they're 15-3. So they've always been built on pitching. They continue to be built on pitching, and that's how they're going to win all of their games this season. Now, if the offense can just do a little bit better, hell, they'll win the whole damn thing. Because what is evident and what is clear with them, and you all know this because you watch it, you listen to it, their pitching staff, especially their stars, that is a World Series champion caliber starting staff. Okay. That's what it is. It's just unbelievable. They just keep rolling. They've won 4 games in the last week, just in the last week, in which they have their offense has mustered just 5 hits, max 5 hits, 5 hits or less. And they've won 4 of these games this past week. There's not another team in the MLB that can do that. None. Bryce Miller has been unreal this year. He's added the new split finger, which was nasty at times yesterday. The four-seamer was great. I mean, his four-seamer, him and Kirby are just like 2 of the best in baseball with it. But 6 games started in April, 35 and a third innings pitched. He's got 39 strikeouts. His ERA is 2.04. It's just ridiculous what he's doing. It's every outing. We've talked about this with Divish, probably with Brad Adam and Bill Kruger. It's like they go out every start, and these guys now have a competition between them, like which one is going to outdo the other one. But that game last night was, it almost, you sat back and watched it, and it was like kind of laughable. Just how ridiculous it was that you're able to win a game like that. Good for Mitch Garver. It has been a rough start for Mitch Garver to begin the season. You acquire him in the offseason, obviously to give you some pop in your middle of your lineup, giving him a role in which he has never really done exclusively, and that being a designated hitter. And it's been a tough one for him. And that was something that Bill Kruger brought up on yesterday's podcast, that, hey, these guys, when they go out, and Jim Duquette as well, these guys make this transition from being, for the most part, either a regular everyday player who's out in the field, or like a part-time player. Now you're being thrust into a long-term role. That's just hard. That's a hard transition. And I think the very best even get a little rough with it. Nelson Cruz has always talked about that in the past. Even Edgar Martinez in the beginning of his career talked about how you go from being in the field, and then all you're going to do is hit now. And then when you just hit and you've got, 30, 40 minutes, sometimes it could be longer, where you don't do anything. And how do you stay prepared for it? So great for Garver, walk-off home run, no doubter. Right when he hit it, he knew, boom, you win the game. And it's just one of the most absurd wins of the season, because you're doing it against one of the best teams, if not the best team in Major League Baseball. Defense was solid last night. You just ask, can they sustain this type of stretch? The odds would say they cannot sustain this, like what they're doing pitching-wise. That the run that they're on, this 17-game stretch, I mean, they're not going to have a 1.53 ERA. So the offense at some point is going to have to carry them a little bit. But like many people have said, they don't need to do a ton offensively if they get their starting pitching continues to go like this. But when we peel away the defense and the pitching, there still are very much some warts for this team offensively. And, Scott Service has talked about it a bunch with the reporters over there at T-Mobile. I mean, the pitchers yesterday, they had 14 strikeouts. The offense struck out 20 times. For the Mariners, it's their 20th double-digit strikeout game of the season in 2029. So, sorry, listeners taking a sip of their coffee. Again, if you are a local coffee roaster, reach out, Puckett, pucksports.com. Okay, there's a contact tab up there. Reach out if you'd like to advertise here at Puck Sports. Also, that's a place to leave voicemails. And I'm getting a few people, not all, a few people that are leaving voicemails, but they're leaving them. Well, they're not actually leaving voicemails. They're just writing down the voicemail in the contact tab and like in the email. You got to record it. It's simple. Everyone's got a smartphone, whether you have an Android or an iPhone. There's a recorder on the phone. Just hit record, leave it 30 to 40 seconds. It could be a little longer. And then you send that attachment. Okay, I got a few, but a few of you just haven't quite grasped that technology yet. Okay, that's okay. We're all in we're working in progress here. Okay, so yeah, the offense is still doing things in which they wanted to address in the offseason, and that was the strikeout less, put the ball in play more, doubles, extra base hits, all that kind of stuff. Well, they're not doing any of that. They're striking out more. They're striking out more, and they're hitting home runs again. So the staff will not be able to sustain it, but right now it's on a great run. And it is a testament to this organization from the standpoint that they have built, without a doubt, a World Series championship caliber rotation and bullpen. There is no debate on that one. And if they can just get in the postseason, like a few years ago, they will be one of the favorites to win it all because of those guys. Now, just imagine if they can get to the deadline still in it, and their pitching keeps it up, they will be. Just add something or two. This is the year. If they can stay like this and no one's going to pull out of the American League West, this is a time for Jerry Dipoto, which he has done in the past, to strike early on a deal. Now, we're talking not to Dipoto or Hollander right now, okay? We're talking to John Stanton. It is time right now, Stanton, to open up your wallet at the deadline and take on a contract. It's just time. You can't worry about paying this whoever the player is a year or 2 years down the road. Money should be no option if they continue like this and they're in this position in the American League West to go out and just buy a player or two. They need it. Your fan base needs it. Your coaching staff needs it. Your GM and president of baseball operations need it. This is, if they continue to play like this and pitch like this and find themselves in this spot, if they don't do anything this year, that's on you. This offseason was on you. The last 2 off seasons were on you. It's time to put up or shut up. Quit telling everybody what a great baseball fan you are. Open up the checkbook soon to add multiple bats to this lineup. They deserve it. Your players, the guys you go down there and talk to, they deserve it. That pitching staff is so damn good. Don't waste it because you're counting pennies over there. Please, 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 please. Went over to the ballpark at T-Mobile pregame. I'm going to be honest with you. It has been a long time since I have gone over there. And for those who don't remember, when I first started here in Seattle over at KJR 2003, that's what I did. I was the pregame kind of host, baseball's best postgame show. I'd be on the field every day from 2 o'clock. I'd be at that stadium from 2 o'clock till 12:30 at night. And did it every single day. It was a blast. I love it. So much fun. But I haven't been over there in a long, long time. Hell, I don't even know where to go for get like credentials and stuff. But big thanks to the Mariners PR staff for letting me come over, credentialing me up for it. It was awesome. Went over there. I wanted to talk and interview and see, at least be part of that media scrum that got to sit down there with Jared Kelenic. And you can watch the video. It's about 6-7 minutes press conference. It's up at pucksports.com. It's also here on YouTube at Puck Sports. You can watch it. Leave a comment below. Kind of the same old Jared. I find him I like talking to him. I like hearing from him. He's very engaging. He's got great personality. He looked relaxed. He looked easygoing. He looked at ease with himself. He looked comfortable in his own skin. He just looked happy. He's on a great team and a great organization. And maybe the best thing for him was getting out of Seattle. I still hate the trade. I think the trade was nonsense. You sold them out. You sold them off because you're dumping salary. That's it. I don't care about the water cooler that the organization was fed up with them. You can look past all of that stuff when it comes to talent. And maybe he hasn't reached his full potential yet as a player, and he certainly hasn't. He's 24 years old. Do I still think he probably ends up just being a utility fourth outfielder? Yeah, I think that's probably what his career arc is going to be. I'm going to repeat what I said yesterday. I think with Kruger, maybe even Jim Duquette. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He'll be disappointed, and people that follow him will be disappointed because the expectation was him to be a superstar. But those are projections. But if he carves out a 10, 15-year career in baseball by playing against right-handers, defensive replacement, coming in late in the game with his speed, he's so good defensively with the glove. He wins a championship and he helps the Braves win a World Series. There's nothing wrong with that. My God, he's made it. He's the 1% of people that play baseball. So I don't think there's ever been anything negative about that. People have always taken that as a negative comment. Oh, he'll just a fourth outfielder. Okay. He carves out a double-digit career, season career. There's no shame in that. No shame in that at all. But I still hate the trade. I do. I mean, it's what the trade represented. That's why I want to go back to John Stanton here for a second. Someone pass this along to John if you know him. You can't be counting pennies and dollars when it comes to owning a baseball team. And that's what they did there. They just were so desperate to get out of Marco's contract that they had to throw in one of their top prospects for nothing. And now he's playing, almost every single day. I'd rather see this guy out in the out. I mean, just look at the outfield situation you got yourself into with the Canzone injury. You had to bring up Jonathan Clase. He's not ready, to fill that void. Would you not want a healthy Jared Kelenic running around in the outfield? I'd take Jared Kelenic over Luke Raley. Okay, I'm taking him over Don Canzone to be able to give a break, more of a break, and more of a relief to Mitch Haniger. I mean, I know what he did last year and kicking the water cooler. Listen, we were all tough on him last year. It was an immature decision. He's 23 years old. Imagine what the decisions you made at 23. I mean, I get lulled in with him a little bit because he's so engaging and fun to talk to, but just my observation from yesterday. You can watch the video for yourself here at pucksports.com, also on YouTube if you're watching. I did post up the audio on Apple and Spotify. Maybe we'll go back and do that later today. But again, I would just go watch it because you know what? Actually, I'm probably not going to put the audio up just from this standpoint. I think you need to watch his body language and watch just how he handled all the questions. And I think that will give you a better sense of him. All right. One quick thing on Scott Service last night that I think you look back and go, I don't understand that. And this is where I think numbers, and I was talking to a couple of guys over there about numbers when we were just kind of sitting around watching BP. I get the analytics guy that came down to his office and said, Urias has got to start at third because Max Fried's a left-hander, so we have to do that. But you took out your best bat in Josh Rojas. And I understand he's only had a handful. I don't even think he's had a handful. He's had barely any at-bats against left-handers. He clearly struggles against them. It's a platoon situation. I get it. You don't need to explain to me that it's a platoon. But you took out one of your best bats who has been on fire the last week or so, 10 days, because it just came down to a platoon decision. Not everything and not every decision needs to be made by an accounting firm. At some point, that coaching staff needs to make a decision on feel. Scott Service was a player, and I think he knows that. And I would like to know, does he get to make a final decision sometimes on this stuff? Because I would have liked to see Josh Rojas in there, despite a left-hander going. Because Rojas has just been on fire. Let's see if he can hit a left-hander. Why do we get so afraid of these guys? I think in baseball nowadays, we put it into their heads that they can't hit a left-hander. If you're a left-handed bat, you can't do it. It's just like Little League. One thing that when we coach baseball or youth sports, I'm always reminded by other coaches and at the youth level and high school coaches always, don't tell the players what they can't do. If you put something negative in their head, they're just going to start thinking about negative thoughts. Put something positive in their head. Hey, Johnny, don't throw a ball here. Well, now he's going to think about throwing a ball. Let's just attack right down the middle. Stuff like that. And I think when you tell these guys, these guys have all hit left-handers throughout their career. Yeah, it gets harder as they move up, but I don't know. Ride the hot hand. And Josh Rojas was the hot hands. Too much platooning. Kind of tired of platooning. I wish we could, you know what they should do in baseball? Here's what I'd like to see. Ban platoons. I'm starting it here. # ban platoons. I'm tired of platoons. Can we just roll guys out there, play them every day? Let's see what happens. Luis Castillo and Ronaldo Lopez go tonight. Lopez has been good last 4 games. 0.72 ERA, 25 innings pitched. Last 3 starts for Castillo. He's allowed 4 earned runs. I'm starting something new tonight because I want to make some money because money's not rolling in right now, okay? I'm betting on the Mariners every night on the under. Take the challenge. Hashtag under un-American. Hashtag under un-American. We're going to take every night. It doesn't even have to be a big bet. I'm going to wager like $5. Like $5 pretty much every day. And I'm going to count up and add up the total of $5 or so every day and track every Mariners game taking the under. And let's just see if we come out on top. The total tonight, Braves-Ams, is 6.5. Take the challenge. Take the under. Come on. Get on the degenerate boat with me. Hashtag under un-American. I get it. We are cheering for no fun. But within that is some fun. Quick note, I was watching the highlights last night of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And one thing, and we bring this up every single year, and this is a rinse and repeat. From a year from now when we're doing this, we're going to bring up the same damn thing. Because I was watching the comparison between, who was it? Was it the Panthers and the Lightning? And their series finishing up, right? Panthers moving on. And then I was watching the end of the Lakers-Nuggets game. This isn't just an NBA thing because this happens in the NFL and Major League Baseball as well. Why don't the other sports take a page out of what hockey does in the postseason? And that is when the series is over, and maybe it's harder in the other sports because, well, maybe basketball because fans can spill out on the court real fast, and hockey obviously you can't jump the glass. Why don't they line up and shake hands and be adults and be competitors? You just got done with a series, whether it's a sweep or a tough 7-game series. Get in line, shake hands, acknowledge the opponent, acknowledge that they beat you, congratulate them, be pissed and be mad. I'm not saying you got to be like, hey, great job. God, you guys are awesome. Good luck. But congratulate them, acknowledge them, and move on. Listen, I'm not the biggest hockey fan in the world. I'm not sitting there breaking it down every night, and I can't wait to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, that's just not me. I mean, I prefer all the other sports. But that is the one thing they do that is by far and away better than any other sport that we have. And it's not even close. They get in line. They shake hands. You don't think those guys are pissed that they lost? You don't think those guys like the guy that they're shaking hands with? They beat the crap out of each other for a 2-week period, slamming each other into a wall. They don't like him, but they acknowledge it. They say, good job. Best of luck. And they move on. I'd like to see it in the other sports. I really would. I'd like to see it in baseball. I'd like to see it in the NFL. We do it at every level, right? It stops when they get in college. I mean, you see it in the high school level, they shake hands. You see it at the youth level, they do it in all the sports. But in this call, in for the other professional sports, minus hockey, when they get to college, it all of a sudden stops. I don't know why. Bring it back. Let's see. Hakstol was fired yesterday. Not a really surprise. And if you're following it closely, it just seemed like a move was going to be made. What I don't understand is why hockey just doesn't do it right away. Why don't they just do it right after the season? He knew he was going to probably fire him, but he had to wait until, a week later, 2 weeks later to fire him. Emily Kaplan, who covers hockey for ESPN, had a report yesterday, and this is her report, that Ron Francis did not want to fire him. But the players on the team made it known they wouldn't play for him anymore or play on the Kraken anymore if he were the coach. I'm kind of surprised, just like on the outside, kind of knowing who Ron Francis is, if that report is true. And I'm not gonna disagree with Emily Kaplan. She's been doing it for a long time. If that is true, I'm kind of surprised Ron Francis would allow that to happen. He doesn't seem like a player, a person that allows players to dictate what he does with his organization. If Ron Francis wanted to keep him, then Ron Francis should have kept him. And not let these players, who underperformed, by the way, all season long, dictate his decision. But we are in a new day and age of kind of player empowerment, but kind of an odd one. If there is traction to that story, me personally, outside looking in, okay, not a huge Kraken hockey guy. You guys tell me in the comments. I'm a little surprised he would allow that to kind of take place. We mentioned this before with these guys real quick. They are in the most pivotal year that they can ever be in. This is the most pivotal offseason for this young franchise. My experience in my inner circle of people that I know that have Kraken season tickets, there's about 6 groups that I know that have it. Not one of them are renewing because they're all up at if you don't know, this is the 3-year window. They all signed 3-year contracts. Not one of them is renewing. They have a big, big issue on their hands because if that group that I know of, all 6 people that I know that have tickets, they're not renewing, what's the numbers across the board for them? I mean, I'm already starting to see advertising and promotions for them to get season tickets. They never did. I mean, they never had to do that before. This is the biggest offseason for them. They got to make a splash. They've got to re-engage these people because if we've mentioned before, the second the NBA returns in the Sonics, the Kraken and hockey, it's on the back burner now. It is going to be out of the house, like in the shed burner in terms of how people are going to pay attention to them. NBA playoffs last night, Nuggets dispatched of the Lakers. LeBron is not retiring, okay? It's not going to happen. He's not walking away. You give the press conference guy, asked him, hey, did you envision the game at the end? This would be your last one. I'm not going to answer that. I appreciate the question. He's not. There is no way he's going to retire. Not a chance. No way. First of all, he wants to play with his kid. Secondly, he has a player option, guys, for $51 million. I don't care how much money he's made. That's $51 million. He wants to make that too. He's got to tell the Lakers by June 29th in order to decide on that player option. If he opts out, you know what he can do? And the Lakers are already going to say they're going to do it anyways. He can sign a 3-year extension for $164 million. So that's why he's not going to retire. He's 39. He's playing at a high level. He doesn't look like he's slowing down. And he wants to play with his kid. And he's going to make the Lakers select Bronny James or wherever he goes, he's going to make the Lakers take him or another team. And he's going to play with his kid. Is his kid ready for the NBA? No. There's not one person who scouts the NBA, who scouts college players that think his kid is ready. But it doesn't matter. Because this isn't about, does Bronny James make your team better if you're the Lakers? It has nothing to do with that. It's and I get it from a father stance. He wants to play with his kid. He loves Ken Griffey Jr. He has seen the video of Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. hugging and smiling, sitting on the bench together, back-to-back home runs, all that stuff. He's seen that. He's talked about it. He wants that moment with Bronny. As a parent, as a dad, can you blame him? I mean, I can't. And the Lakers are going to placate to him. They'll do it. They're going to give him that money, and they're going to draft Bronny James in the 2nd round, a guy who averaged 4 points, not even remotely the best player on an okay USC team. And he'll get a chance to play just, because of his father. And I mean, I like Bronny James. I think he always plays hard, but is he NBA? Is he an NBA player now? Well, no, he's not even close. But LeBron is not going to retire. He is going to milk this thing forever because he likes attention. I mean, most of us do, and he's going to milk it for a very long time. NFL is contemplating going to 18 games. I said this months ago when we were doing radio. I am convinced in my lifetime, I'm 48. In 30 years, I'm 78. There's going to be NFL year-round, it feels like. We are going to be playing year-round this sport. The current CBA expires in 2030. Their TV deal runs through 33, but they can opt out in 2029. Hey, if they add an 18th game and they get rid of preseason, so be it. I like the preseason games. At least you can get a little bit of an evaluation of who you want on your team. I think guys can make the team in preseason. And I say that because in training camp, they can't really do anything. That's their opportunity for some guy to make the team. So I'm not one of these people that hate preseason. I actually like preseason. I think it's cool. But if they add another 18th game, they're going to, I think Roger Goodell just wants to get rid of it. And I think most fans probably want to get rid of the preseason. Jamal Adams returns to Seattle. There's an ESPN report. I know Bob Condola of Seattle Times wrote a little bit about it, that they are in constant contact with Jamal Adams, or the Seahawks or the Niners, apparently. And if he does come back, they want to play him at weak side linebacker, the spot that Jordan Brooks occupied a year ago, in which Jerome Baker was signed this year. The kid out of UTEP can play both inside and outside. I hope Rob Staten is watching and listening. Please, for the love of God, no. It just stop. Can we just, you know what? John, it didn't work. It's not the scheme. It's him. He's a great personality and all that. He's not a great player. Don't worry. Don't keep doubling down on Jamal Adams. We all make mistakes. Make a mistake, move on, and part with him. Okay? Because even if he comes back, what's he going to do? They have schemed him. They have played him different places. He ultimately finds himself out of position. And, Frankie just doesn't seem like, the antics that he did last year. I just don't think for a new organization with a new culture with Mike McDonald, I just don't think you need to add that on top of it. All right. Before we wrap up, we'll end it every day, the DPD, the Daily Puck Drop, with this. Hey, what the puck? Little offbeat stories that we find, right, that are sometimes more fun than all these just sports stories that we just did. Hey, what the puck? Eric Johnson's retiring after 39 years. One, I can't believe he has been on the air for damn near 40 years. I thought that was a misprint. 39 years. Eric Johnson, tip of the cap to you. My favorite TV station growing up as a kid was always Como, and still is Como. Sorry, Chris. It just is. It's just that I always I go there. I love King. I love Cairo. I love them all. Fox. I love all of you. But Como for me, when I was growing up as a kid, it was everything. It was Dan Lewis. It was Kathy Gertz. It was Bruce King. It was Steve Poole. All right. That's just, that was my Herb Weisbaum. Raise your hand if you remember Herb Weisbaum. And leave a comment below. What did Herb Weisbaum do? What was his little shtick there on Como? And then Eric Johnson came along and did sports. For people who don't remember, he did sports. He was, eventually the backup there to Bruce King. And then when Bruce retired, Eric became the number one sports anchor. And then he introduced one of the best. It ranks right up there as maybe one of the best sports segments that this city's ever had. Eric's Little Heroes. Who did not like watching Eric's Little Heroes with those T-ball players running the wrong way, running into each other, because it was fun. And he brought the kind of the human element to sports and the kind of the funny videos and all that kind of stuff. And it was just awesome what he did. And he talked about it when he announced he was retiring yesterday. It put him on the map. He needed something to kind of put him on the map. That did. And it morphed into Eric's Heroes and all that. And then he became on the anchor desk, and he worked his way up. Spokane kid, worked in a bunch of different markets, Spokane, Portland, then eventually in Seattle. And a regular at Mike's Chili Parlor. Shout out, Eric. 39 years. Awesome run there for Eric Johnson. We're going to try and get him on the podcast. We're going to try to get him. I'd love to sit down and just the stories that he'd have about Bruce and Kathy and Steve and just everyone. But that was, to me, the golden era of TV sports and TV just news. All right. Hey, what the puck? This is awesome. This is my favorite story of the week. Dave & Buster's. Okay. I've had my run in with Dave & Buster's. They're going to allow customers to bet on arcade games now. 18 and older, real money wagers. Technology expected to be available in the coming months. It will take place on their app. It will include, you can bet on Hot Shots, the basketball game, and skee ball and other arcade games. This is what I'm here for. America turning into degenerate sports gamblers, and we have reached its peak by now allowing social wagering on their app at the great Dave & Buster's. Now, if Dave & Buster's can only learn to employ people that can actually turn the channel on the right ball game, we will be in nirvana, okay? But now you're going to be able to go with your kid. Well, I guess they got to be 18 or older, but who's watching? And bet on Pop-A-Shot. Can we get air hockey too? Air hockey needs to be a part of this. Air hockey, skee ball, and Pop-A-Shot. Okay, that's the debut of Hey, What the Puck. All right, coming up, it's Tuesday, April 30th. Later today, you'll get an episode with John Canzano from johncanzano.com. That will drop at 1 o'clock. Until then, we'll talk to you soon. As always, we promise to be better.
No shirt, no shoes, no tie.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!